we have here many awesome people. And so welcome tonight, welcome. So we're going to be together for about 90 minutes, hopefully. And we had with us our, the one person that started this movement or ACORN, that his name is Wade. And we're going to speak with him. And he goes to speak with us, of course. And he's going to show us awesome things. Many of us maybe know, but the new one people, maybe you don't know. So it's going to be amazing. So let me tell you that we had with us as well our president, Marva. And she has been so humble that she's our Canada president, but at the same, she's the international president. I didn't know that. And I think so we should elaborate on that, because it's Canada represented by her international ACORN. So this is awesome too. So please give it up to Marva. She will say what is ACORN. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm going to say what is ACORN Canada and ACORN International as a whole. We know that ACORN Canada is the association. ACORN is the Association for Communication, for Community Organization for Reform Now. But, you know, ACORN, we are a dues-based membership organizations of hundreds and thousands of families organizing to build power and affect change in our in our countries throughout the world, including like Toronto, Ontario, Canada, where I'm a member here, as you guys know. Our memberships is their low and moderate income families working on benefits, organized in our communities, workplaces, and housing blocks. We are a community organization, a tenants union, informal and formal workers union, and associates. So, but we champion. I would like to say we champion, the cause for the lower and moderate income, citizens in our communities. And ACORN Canada knows what we do best. We go out and we make our demands. We know what our family, friends, and everybody wants. So we just go out and we work on it. And that's what ACORN is, getting what is best for the moderate and lower income families in our communities around the world. That's it.
Amazing. Thank you, Marva. As you see, she's very humble. She doesn't like to speak too much, and she got to the point. So thank you. I'm very thrilled to work with her and to know awesome leaders like everybody that is tonight. So now we're going to introduce you, Wade. He's an awesome man. Besides to be the founder of ACORN, he's a very nice person to be around. He has a lot of sense of humor. You really enjoy to be around him. And plus, he is the person who come with the idea of ACORN. So he's going to explain you more, but I think so we should clap for him, and we can.
Okay. Am I muted? Right. Okay. So thank you, Alejandra. Thank you, Marva, my president. The agenda here is pretty clear, and luckily, let me just keep it short. We founded the organization a little more than 50 years ago, June 18th of 1970 in Little Rock, Arkansas, in the United States. It was 17 years ago that we began ACORN Canada, and look at how you've grown. It goes without saying that Canada leads ACORN International. Of the 16 countries where we have members. Of our 225,000 members, clearly half of them are from Canada. So it's fantastic. I'll tell you how good Canada is. When Judy tells everybody we're going to have 50 people on this call. How many are on the call? 49. There'll be 50 before it's over. So that's just the way Canada rolls. Here's how the agenda. There you go,
Yay.
Bob. Here's how the agenda works. A picture is worth way more than 1,000 words. So if we can make this work on the screen share, I'm going to show you 2 clips. One is the from the organizer film. It's about the history of ACORN, and the other is more about the squatting campaign. So hang here with me. We'll see if we can make this work. Judy, can I share screen now?
I think so. I hope so.
Okay. Just a second here. Well, here's the squatting film first. Okay. This is
Decent housing is all right. We want to fight. Decent housing is all right.
Everybody knows why we're squatting. They're going to get the houses to them, so we're going to take them anyway, because we know they belong to us. We're fired up and fed up.
Decent housing is all right. We're going to fight. Decent housing is all right. All right. Decent housing is all right. We're going to fight. Decent housing is all right.
This is Philadelphia.
It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep from going under. It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep from going under.
When Gloria decided to become a squatter, she started working with Grover Wright and the grassroots group he chairs, ACORN.
We ain't taking no more. We're fired up. We ain't taking no more. We're fired up. We ain't taking no more.
Squatting had spread to Pittsburgh, Detroit, Dallas, and Boston. In St. Louis, squatters took HUD-owned houses and were arrested.
Despite regulations requiring it, Reagan's appointees at HUD refused to protect those who've lost their houses from greedy mortgage companies eager to foreclose. When lobbying, petitioning, and every other protest failed, ACORN members began to squat.
Now we got too much food. They want to starve us. They want to keep us naked. They want to keep us outdoors, but they're not going to do it.
And Mommy put some wingers in and put some sheetrock up there. And that's all. Now we got a house.
Hey, hold down freedom
So that's a campaign in the 1980s, and since all of you are so active in housing campaigns, it's not a bad place for it to start. But I'm going to now show you some footage from the very beginning, starting in 1970. So hang on, let's see if I can find it. We're still looking. Hold on. Don't leave me now. I had this all laid out, so who knows? Judy can tell you, I was pretty clear that I'm not the expert here.
Oh, it's coming.
Well, but that's not it still. I'm having problems finding it. Just, bear with me. We'll make it.
No problem. In the meantime, Marva can sing something for us. She has a beautiful voice.
Okay, we're almost there now. We're almost there. Okay.
Let us pause in life's pleasures and count its many tears while we observe sorrow with the poor. There's a song that will linger forever in our ears. So hard times come again no more.
Well, at first you start with you and the rat in your pocket. So I just drove in June 18th of 1970, started talking to people about this notion of an organization we wanted to build.
I used to live on Schiller 35 years ago. Something's changed.
This guy named Wade Rafke came to town and he started knocking on doors. And the very first door he knocked on was a lady named Gloria Wilson. And right then and there, she hit the streets with him.
This house right here, this is where Gloria used to live.
I don't know, it was like something just grabbed you and it pulled you away. Growing up all my life, somebody else was controlling everything, and I wanted to see a change.
See, I used to live on 22nd Street. Gloria was right there. I could walk on my porch and look right in her front door. And so we got to talking about it, and oh yeah, we are in. Yes, sir.
The first organizer I managed to hire was a man named Gary Delgado. He'd been up in New York.
It was an experiment in uniting the very poor, people on welfare, with the not so poor. That was one level of the experiment. It was also a racial experiment. Could you build a multiracial organization? This was 1970 in the South. I was interested in those kinds of questions.
I started trying to scribble out potential names, MC Community, community organizations. It doesn't take long to get to ACORN, and ACORN is easy to draw.
They would have meetings at my grandmother's house, you know. She would make us go into the back room, and I said, she having this nut meeting. That's what I call the ACORN people. They're nuts, you know. They're not gonna get in. These old ladies, what they gonna do?
The first organizing that we did in Little Rock was around furniture. There was a law in the books through which people were entitled to furniture, and so we organized both black and white folks to go down and make demands. We ended up in a meeting with Winthrop Rockefeller, who was the governor of the state.
First time in my life I had been in the governor's mansion, and Rockefeller made one statement. What is it like, to be poor? What is it? Because he's been rich all his life. And I had cut my hair and I couldn't do it right. I was wearing a wig at the time. And I said, I'll tell you what it's like. It made me bald, and I pulled my wig off, and he just went all over. The way he loves that person. He tells it all the time.
I've lost all my hair.
Hello?
Big off. And Winthrop Rockefeller was not the brightest bulb in the, in the universe. That helped
I don't know what's happening to my phone.
Well,
it's giving
there were more nuances in terms of dealing with There were more nuances in terms of black and white relationships.
Back in 1970, that was totally unheard of. A group of black and white, low and moderate income people who were proud. And we were poor, but we were proud.
Okay, so this is the Centennial neighborhood. And this was part of the Save the City campaign. We used to run up and down these hills like squirrels door knocking, just up and down, up and down, up and down. Crubs, there's no house I hadn't door knocked on this street. I swear to God.
I remember driving on a city street one day, and there was this billboard, and it said, in the largest letters, it just covered the entire billboard, Save the City. This had to be about 1972, because I came home from Vietnam in April of '72. I thought, that is so interesting. Save the city. Very soon, people started showing up at the city council meetings with the ACORN buttons, calling our attention to deficiencies in services in neighborhoods.
In Arkansas, 50% of the people earn less than $7,000 annually. The Arkansas Community Organization for Reform Now, ACORN, is an example of a mass membership organization which is transforming citizen action.
These petitions are out all over town, not only in this group, but in ACORN groups all over Little Rock.
We weren't asking for anything we didn't deserve. We just wanted to be citizens. If you say nothing, you get nothing. So that's why we had to get up and go and push school lunch program. We got it going. And all of these kind of things is what we look for, the things that was missing.
The Save the City campaign tried to drastically expand the organizing base. We organized unemployed workers into a separate committee and Vietnam veterans.
Hi, this is Ryan O'Neill with Something You Should Know.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner with Something You Should Know.
Hi, this is Jack Nicholson with Something You Should Know. When a real estate agent tells you your neighborhood is changing racially and your property values are going down, then asks if you want to sell your house, he's blockbusting, and that's illegal. For more information, write ACORN or call 501-376-7151.
In the neighborhood that I lived in, which was a middle-class neighborhood in the middle of the city that was integrated very peacefully, there was an attempt on the part of realtors to engage in blockbusting. We knew that it was something that was very destructive of race relations. So ACORN came in and they did a number of really interesting things hand in hand with all the residents. So it was an enormously successful project.
What was most interesting to me was actually not the victories, it was the fact that Wade had figured out how to build an institution.
ACORN's technique is to send its staff members throughout the state organizing people, helping them to fight their own local battles.
I'm a student of organizing, so in trying to develop the ACORN organizing model, I drew from my own experience with welfare rights and anti-war organizing before I started ACORN, and a lot from labor. We were building essentially a union in the community, so it was dues-based. We weren't tax exempt, so that meant we could be involved in politics. If they wanted to go and endorse a candidate, work for a candidate, hurt a candidate, raise hell, if they had a majority and their hands went up and said, this is what they want to do, let's go.
We have a mass membership of low to moderate income people, about 5,000 families here in Arkansas. The organization has tended to try to build as much power as possible so that its membership could influence their daily lives and the institutions that impact on them.
In the past year, my wages have increased about 10%, and my electric bill has increased about 40%. Now, gentlemen, is that fair?
To build an organization that was based on, comprised of, and committed to the lives of poor people was not a popular thing to do.
We organized in a radical style, and to some degree, we have always been able to continue to polarize all the situations to make sure there is the conflict that exists on these issues, and that we're leading one side of the conflict. You know, we legitimize what we do, and majority constituency and everything else that we pioneered here at ACORN, in order to make sure that at the necessary point we can continue to polarize the interest. We damn well know that we now polarize 100% between what the business community has its interest and what people see as the ACORN interest. We translate the credibility that was once in that institution into our issues, into our actions. We rebalance the power.
Okay, we made it through the film clips. Okay, so Ms. Moderator, the agenda says it's an open floor for questions, so let them roll, let them rip.
Amazing, thank you so much. It was
my
awesome.
Pleasure.
Always and so enjoyable, and I feel on fire, really. You tell me, let's go now and do something, let's do it. It's so amazing. So now the idea is, like we say, we're going to ask questions. So you want to start, like there was a question that somebody did it. You want to start now for the questions to wait?
I see Bob Murphy's got his hand up. I don't know who's, Judy, you on this? Who's handling this? Hands up.
I'll unmute Bob if he can, or John can help too. Oh, there's Bob. Okay, got him. Unmute. Okay, Bob, you got to unmute yourself.
Okay, can you read me okay?
We can hear you.
Yes, Wade, pleasure to talk to you. And those films, especially when I saw the whole package last year, was quite inspiring. What keeps you motivated day to day to stay at an even level? Because we experience, low days and high days, and sometimes it's difficult to keep at an even level. Do you have any advice you can give to our members about that?
Judy Alvin kids me, don't ever ask me about what I eat, but I will say this, I'm very disciplined. But what keeps me coming back to work is the same thing that keeps all of you active, and that is I have not, over all these many 50 plus years I've been an organizer, been able to really turn the rage off. The issues of injustice and equity and everything that oppresses our people gets me up every morning and puts my shoulder to the wheel. I mean, when I first started this work was in the late 60s. And sugar blocked off. We may have thought it was a sprint, but it turns out it's a marathon. Ooh, I was able to mute somebody. Watch out, I'm dangerous now. It turns out to be a marathon, and we've just begun to fight, as all of you know, in Canada. There's so many things our members want and need and deserve that we just need to keep building as long as we're able. Bob, if I've answered your question, I see Dan had a question on the chat. You want me to answer that while we're looking for the next question?
Do it.
Dan asked what blockbusting is, or something. Yes. What
Yes.
is blockbusting? Blockbusting, unfortunately, is not exactly dead, but in the 60s, 70s, and 50s, particularly in the United States, I'm not sure exactly about the Canadian experience, it was a way in which real estate interests tried to manipulate the values and population in a neighborhood by saying that they needed to hurry up and sell before African Americans moved into the neighborhood or before Latinos moved into the neighborhood. In many cases, there were neighborhoods that had covenants that didn't allow you to sell to people of other races. And this was something that's part of the legacy of slavery in the United States. Well, in Little Rock, as in so many other cities in the United States at that time, the Oak Forest neighborhood all of a sudden had 20 or 30 different real estate companies trying to convince people to sell at basement prices so that they could flip them around and sell to African American families trying to come into that neighborhood at premium prices. So as Walter Nunn, the leader in that group, said, there was nobody in the neighborhood who didn't want the kind of integrated mix in the neighborhood, but no one wanted to allow the real estate agents to manipulate the neighborhood. And that's what blockbusting is. It's an effort to manipulate neighborhoods and communities racially. Good question.
Thank you, Wade. Who else?
Ray from the phone had a question. I think he's unmuted.
Yeah, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, Ray.
Hi, Wade. I have a question that goes back a few years to something I read in Harper's Magazine. And it was about, I believe it was at the time that Bill Clinton was governor in Arkansas. And apparently you and ACORN had lobbied the government to adjust the electricity rates in favor of the poor. And apparently from this story in Harper's, someone at the Rose Law Firm opposed this and came up with an argument that it was an unconstitutional confiscation of wealth from the wealthier purchasers of electricity, and that person was Hillary Clinton. And I wondered if that story is true, and what would be your angle on that. I also think I remember them saying that the Clintons had been somewhat sympathetic to ACORN before that.
Bob, Ray, rather, that's a good, careful reading of your Harper's Magazine. You're getting your full subscription's worth. I want to tell you that. I mean, one of the jokes I've told recently is this is the first election in the U.S., and I can't tell you how many years where I haven't had to tell the story about Hillary Clinton trying to block the people's will in terms of getting lower utility rates. The backstory is very simple. We tried to win what were called lifeline utility rates, which would have set a flat rate at 400 watts of electricity so that lower income people, senior citizens, could not be cut off. They could have that flat rate at a very low cost and they didn't have to worry about the situation. We could not get the utility company to grant that, so we took it to the ballot, and we won the election almost 2-1. It was despite the fact that the utility company, the giant, that's now called Entergy, was called Middle South Utility then, tried to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. Well, of course, the business and political community in Arkansas didn't want the will of the people to all of a sudden create this radical, fix on utility rates, because utilities were big powers in the state of Arkansas. So they found 12 customers of a rural cooperative that had a little sliver of the county, a little sliver in the city limits. We only passed this in the city of Little Rock, and they engaged a law firm. And there was Hillary Rodham Clinton. She was called Hillary Rodham then. She didn't change her name until Bill lost one election and she had to, walk the line. And she and another guy who became famous during the Clinton administration ended up having to quit in a scandal and this, that, and the other. They were our opposition, and they argued that we were illegally seizing property from these 12 little owners because they weren't, they didn't have any way to have big business take up the rates. So unfortunately, we lost that suit at the Supreme Court level. But yeah, Hillary, I'm not a fan. When Hillary was a U.S. Senator, ACORN couldn't have asked for anything and we got it. But when she was in Arkansas, she was a piece of work, and she was working for any big company. She was on the board of Walmart. Don't start me. But may she have a great career now that she's retired.
So we have someone's hand up called Janice from Ottawa.
Yeah, my name's Jeanette. Hi.
Okay.
I'm just wondering, Wade, how do you think ACORN's tactics and strategies need to evolve so we stay relevant for the younger generation of kids who are figuring out activism and what works in an online space? What can we be doing as a movement to stay relevant there? Or what do you kind of envision for us?
Well, let me tell you, we wouldn't be able to have an international organization if it weren't for social media, for Skype, for Zoom, and I used to say for cheap airline fares, but that's no longer true. But the fact that 30 or 40 years ago, we couldn't have dreamed of being able to communicate to people. But the nice thing, I think the powerful thing about the ACORN model, Genesee, is that we have adapted. We constantly evaluate what we need to do differently, how to integrate, in this case, social media, how to integrate websites at their time, how to reach people in another way. One of the reasons I think we're having some success is, I'll talk about this very period in the pandemic. We've been known, and let me tell you, we love to hit the doors. We like to have those one-on-one conversations. Almost everybody on this call can probably tell a story of the first time they were door knocked. But do you know that here in the pandemic, when we have not been able to door knock, in many cases our offices have been closed, our staff, we've actually seen our membership grow in the United Kingdom by 7% over the last month. We've seen our membership grow in France and in country after country, where we got on the phones, got on social media, found another way. But part of what we always need to make sure of is that we don't get, that we make sure there's an opening for young leadership and not a situation where we try to block the future of the organization. So the more we're able to diversify our leadership and maintain currency and listen to our members, the more we're going to be able to adapt. Great question.
Thank you.
I see a hand up. I don't know if Alejandra can see these because it's in the thing, but from Mariana Lorky from Toronto.
So, Kanish, I also have
Hi.
something to say.
Oh, Pascual. Hi.
Hi.
So
We got a bunch of hands now.
Okay, Pascal, you're next.
Okay, I just wanted to ask something in regards to the youth. Is there a way that we can be able? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, we can.
Okay, sorry. Thanks, Wade. We are all in this together.
Yes, we are.
I
Voice
was
of
just
Calgary speaks.
Yeah, I was just thinking in terms of how to get the youth involved. Is it possible maybe at least to have something like a wing for the youth for them to get engaged, either through social media, kind of get them something to be exchanging from city to city with other youth, maybe to get them involved as well.
I'll tell you, this is a proposal, Pascal, that we've heard many times. Should there be a youth wing or whatever? Most of the leadership has debated this, and certainly the ACORN Canada leadership can revive that conversation. But we really want to integrate youth fully, young people, into the leadership right now. We need their energy. We need them on the streets. We need the skills they have. Whether it's in internet activity and reaching out. I mean, so we don't want to separate them from the rest of the organization. So that's tended to mean that we haven't had a separate youth wing, but we've tried to make sure that we're attentive to their issues and their involvement. The real truth is, we need younger leadership. Let's be frank about it. These are times when we can see the end, some of us, better than we can see the future. So we need people at every level. But Pascal, that's a debate the board should have, and whatever they decide, as always, that's what we'll do. Thank you.
Oh, thank you too. Thanks.
Okay, back to Mariana.
Thanks, Judy. Just to wait, and sorry, I stepped out to do my nightly cheer for essential workers, so I apologize if this question came up, but obviously now, there's a lot of talk about trying to, how Black people are disadvantaged, how the system works against them. Obviously, you've been working, to try to, when you look at those clips, it's like they're obviously marginalized communities, redlining, all these other horrible things that were going on. I mean, there's still a long way to go, but do you see positive things that have happened? And also just the question of, when a white person comes in as an organizer, was that ever awkward for you, or were they just happy to have anybody that could help them, empower them and give them voice and give them results?
Well, I mean, I'll start from the back end of that question. I'm 6 feet tall, and you can't tell it now, but I used to have red hair. My daughter has to remind me frequently. So I could never pretend to be anything but what I was. So as an organizer, I really believe, and I think this is true of all ACORN organizers, that we can only successfully organize by being frank and honest with people. And what I presented is that I had certain skills as an organizer. People could use those skills or not use those skills. Organizers don't compete with leadership. We serve that leadership. If you needed a carpenter, I had the tools. If you didn't, that was fine. All the good luck to you. So I was very fortunate to be sensitive, to listen to people, which is the primary skill for an organizer, and I've been able to survive all this time still doing the work. Saying that, I don't pretend to be able to express the experience of any of our separate members, how they are forced to live in their countries. I listen to their issues, where their issues have a base. We try to work with them to develop campaigns to move forward.
You're frozen a little bit, Wade.
I don't know. Could be you, Alejandra. I don't know if it's me or not. We're out there in Zoom 1. But back to you, Mariana. I'm very.
So maybe it's me.
Yeah, who knows? It's all good. Mariana, I'm hopeful today that anytime we see the number of people on the streets in the U.S., for example, we've seen more people come out over the last several weeks than we've seen since the 1960s.
Wait, that is Judson.
Since the 1960s, to express themselves about civil rights of all people. So I'm hoping this time makes a difference. We'll see. But Canada's on this issue too. So good luck to all of us. We're in the same community here. Back to
Can
you,
I say
Judy.
something?
Yeah, we got a question there from
Terry.
Hamilton. Terry, not Caitlin.
Yes. I just wanted to let Wade know that we here in Hamilton, at Hamilton ACORN downtown, have found a way to integrate the young people into our organization. They are the next generation. What we have done as we went out and asked questions of people, young people in university, what do they find as big problems within their university? And some of their problems were housing problems. So what we have done is we have worked with brought them into our organization and worked with them to try to get them interested in us by helping them with their housing problems. That is one way you can do it. You go out to them and ask them what their problems are, what they can see us to helping them with.
Well, I think that's an excellent example, and I'll build on that. We won a rent strike by one of our affiliates in England. Is a largely university community, and they were still charging, even though they'd shut the school down, they were still charging people in the campus rent. And in a 48 or 72-hour rent strike, we were able to stop that practice. So absolutely, if you look at the website that I'll show you later, or Facebook, you'll see that something very interesting when you look at our membership in England particularly. It's very young, and that's because the housing crisis is intense for younger people and for tenants, and that's the membership that's sort of taken ACORN by the arms and built 20 different branches across England now over the last couple of years. Thank you.
I was thinking, because I can't see if people on the phone have their hand up. Is there anyone on the phone who wants to unmute themselves and ask a question? Okay. Nope. Okay.
Judy, Jerry asked a question in the chat. Jerry Stevens.
Oh, okay. Do you want to unmute, Jerry?
Oh. Hi.
Oh, hi.
Okay, there's Jerry.
Go, Jerry.
Fire away, Jerry.
Oh, maybe she's. You there, Jerry?
You know, sometimes it's harder to mute and unmute on a phone.
The question he asked was, what are your best tips for door knocking?
Ah, how much time do we have? Because with all of you, I know everybody's got their own special way of doing it. You know, I'll tell a joke from when you know, it's not exactly a joke, but when I was first starting as an organizer and hitting the doors, I was working for Welfare Rights before I was working for ACORN. And the key thing was getting inside the house, because we were talking to people in Massachusetts about their issues with furniture. And you could have the conversation from the porch, but if you were in the house, you could look around the living room and say, do you have a chair in the kitchen and a dining table for every member of your family? Don't you have 2 chairs in the living room for everybody? Do you have
come back after 8, Terry?
4 shared sheets per bed? You know, because we were trying to get their interest in trying to fight the welfare system to get these benefits. So one of the tricks I had for getting the doors is I had a clipboard, and it had all the forms that showed you what you needed to check out if you wanted furniture. And you know, it was a big stack of papers and stuff, and sometimes I would have trouble having the doors. I just let it all fall and spill out on the porch. And 9 out of 10 times, they'd open the door, the screen door, to let me in, to talk to me. And the next thing you know, I walked in with them into the living room, and we had that conversation. So I'm sure that's not exactly the tip you're looking for, but I've told many organizers, if you're ever really stuck, drop everything you've got, hope for the best, see if you can't get inside that door.
Pretty good.
So Jerry, let me know how that works out for you. Back to you, Ms. Moderator.
Well, I have a bit of a question or comment, if I may.
Sure, David, go ahead.
David, yes. I'm not exactly one of those younger persons that everybody seems so eager to engage, but I have been around and seen a lot of activity. I remember in the 60s and 70s, it was a time of revolutionary fervor and rampant liberalism to an extent that's almost unimaginable today. And unfortunately, it came to nothing. As we know, it was all reversed. Now we're seeing another time of potentially aggressive, progressive change. I'm a little jaded, so I'm a little concerned that, you know, this is a Sisyphean challenge. We push things forward and they roll back, push them forward a bit, they roll back. So I'm wondering what is going to be different this time? How are things actually going to change once and for all? You know, I know nobody can see the future, but that's something that I wonder about a lot.
Well, David, you know, it is a Sisyphean challenge, but one of the things I think is the gift of ACORN is it gives us the ability to fight. It allows us to constantly be in the struggle for justice and to build power to make the change. You know, when I think back over the 50 years, I actually think we have a long way to go, but I'm very proud of what we were able to accomplish. There are big changes since that time, changes in the status of women, changes in the status of people with different sexual orientations, changes in the status of even the full integration, which is a long way from being complete, but of minority and ethnic groups into the greater society. That was unimaginable in 1970 when we started ACORN. It was a radical, unbelievable thing that we would combine African Americans and whites in the same organization in the South. That was just unheard of. No, I mean, you saw it in the film, and that's actually true. And the Ku Klux Klan broke up organizing committee meetings in Pine Bluff, and the state legislature tried to get our membership list and said we were all communists. So if you looked at that time compared to this time, we're not where we wanted to be, but we still made some progress. So will the changes that are affected now be permanent? No, it's always going to be a fight. And we can see even on the efforts for police reform in Minneapolis, I hate to be a Debbie Downer here, but even though the council and others have said they were going to change the way police, legislature in Minneapolis is one house is Democratic and one house is Republican. They weren't able to agree on any package of how to reform the police. So this is not going to be something that's over in a quick minute. But David, we just have to get the strength from our community, not from how others see us, and hope that we're able to prevail. Thank you for your question.
Thank you, very nice. Judy?
I'm looking for hands. Any other questions? Oh, did Veronica have her hand up?
Veronica? You still there, Veronica?
I see Veronica. Did you have your hand up, Veronica? No, she was just doing a thumbs up. Okay.
Ah, okay.
Come on,
Somebody's
y'all.
gonna
Somebody,
jump up?
I know somebody has a question.
I do. Further question for you, Wade. I just wanted to see if you observed a great many changes from the 70s to now as far as poverty-wise is concerned. The reason I say that is because I've lived through all the decades, and I personally myself, I have not seen a whole heck of a lot of changes as far as government assistance for people in poverty.
Well, in fact, as I mentioned before I began with ACORN, I organized welfare recipients and ran the largest affiliate for the National Welfare Rights Organization. And in fact, virtually everything about welfare in the United States is worse today than it was in 1970. And in 1970, it was horrid. But the benefits have been capped out. They haven't kept up with the times. I mean, yeah, I think we need the same kind of revolution around the status of lower income families that we're seeing in some other areas right now.
Well, let me know.
So,
All right.
Donna, you want to say something? Donna from Toronto.
Oh, I see Chantel. All right. Oh, you're not muted. Go ahead.
I just had a question for Wade. You know, with your intellectual ability and your physical stamina and all of the things that you could be doing, why is it that you've chosen to advocate for low and moderate income people in marginalized communities?
I just have a anger that I cannot control. And I was very, very lucky to find that I had some small skills as an organizer so that I had a way to express the kind of rage I felt every day at the conditions I saw and read about and thought about both here in the United States and around the world. I consider myself lucky. I was also, you know, a child of the 1960s, and there were choices. You either were part of the problem or part of the solution. So I just thought there was an opportunity. There was revolution in the air. I just didn't realize it was going to take the rest of my life to get as far as we got. But you know, I never hesitated. I dropped out of school twice. First to organize against the war, and then went back for a semester and was lucky enough to stumble into welfare rights. And I thought, what a great thing, an organization of poor people. Oh my God, we could really do something. And I did that. And then I thought, well, what if we made it a bigger organization and let more people low and moderate income in? Maybe we could do more. And wow, that's taken 50 years to get where we are. So we're still rolling. But basically, I appreciate all the sugar you put in my coffee, but it really is, you know, this is what I know how to do. And look at the great people I get to work with. And I don't yell in the street, you know, at the top of my lungs every day. I find a way to put it into my work and make it more constructive.
Thank you. So my question is now is, if you didn't have the outlet of ACORN, do you see your life being as successful as what it has been? And if not, how do we reach other people that are struggling with the same things that you were struggling as a youth, and how you managed to find this outlet?
Well, you know, I don't know exactly how much you know about U.S. politics, but after I first dropped out to organize against the war, I became a member of something called the Students for Democratic Society. And the debate we had at that point in trying to oppose the war is whether, I mean, as somebody was saying earlier, whether there was any use, whether or not we were going to have to go underground, whether or not we were going to have to learn, you know, to do things in a more aggressive and less nonviolent way. So when you ask, what would I have done if I hadn't figured out, you know, that there was something to do? I mean, I was smart enough I'll give myself credit enough to know that I didn't believe you could do it as a lone wolf. I believed you had to have mass-based organizations in order to win. So that's the path I took, is to try to see if I could figure out how to build a mass base. And that's what we've done. If I had not gone that way, God knows, I would not have been an example for most people.
Well, I thank you for going through those struggles and also giving me an outlet to, you know, take out some of the singular frustrations that I have, that I know that others are going through. And, you know, it opens up your eyes to let you know that, you know, at that point in time, you feel like you're the only one going through this. You're the only one struggling with this.
And that,
you know,
Chantel,
you realize that there's a bigger world out there.
I was on a call with members in Ottawa a couple of days ago, and they were so desperate to do actions. And I know why, because secretly all of us want to yell to the top of our lungs at somebody who's doing the wrong thing. So go get them, girl.
Okay, we got 2 more questions here. We got Mariana and then John.
So, so thanks, Wade. Sorry to give you a second question, but it also, you reminded me with your anti-war stuff that I think it's been 50 years this year, the Kent State shootings and, you know, whatever, the Neil Young song and other stuff. But also, I guess 1970 was the October crisis in Canada. In a convoluted way, I'm trying to lead about to the question of, you know, have you ever figured out sort of, or what are your thoughts on the differences between Canada and the US? Because in Canada, there seems to be more of a focus over the collective over the individual, where the US, it seems to be a focus of individual over the collective. And particularly with healthcare, I'm always mystified when, you know, the US, there's so many opponents to healthcare in the US. And I think for us, we just take it for granted that, you know, if something happened, not everything's covered, by the way, but, you know, if I break my arm or something, I can walk into the hospital and be treated, and I'm not going to be billed for it. But like, do you have any thoughts of why those differences? I mean, I guess we stayed under British rule. We didn't rebel against the British. We sort of have respect for authority, and we kind of believe in government as not necessarily always a bad thing. But what are your thoughts on how neighbors so close? I think Robin Williams sort of said we're kind of like, you know, the country that's, you know, living above the meth lab, and you know, we're just in, not that, you know, and or the, you know, the person who goes out with the person who always picks a fight in the bars, and not, you know, obviously not a characterization of the US, but it does seem to be geared towards individual success, and Canada seems to accept that we, you know, there isn't something bad about everybody sacrificing for the people who aren't as fortunate.
I agree with you. The collective experience, which is actually what built the United States, has been mythologized as a great individual enterprise of pioneers and cowboys and whatever, most of which is not the true history. It's a very bitter, difficult history that the U.S. has had. You know, the other thing I think is different about Canada and the United States is Canadians are just nicer people. You know, it's just, I hate to tell you that, it's just true. You know, look, they used to say Minnesota nice. You can see that's not the case. But in Canada, they're just nice people. It's just, they're fun to be around. In the United States, everybody's got a little bit of an edge. You know, it's a big country. People have an edge. They're, you know, under the gun. The welfare system sucks. There's no health care. It's dog eat dog. Perro come perro. I mean, it's, I've got no defense for it, but this is where I live. And I used to say this is where I travel from, although I haven't traveled much over the recent months. I'm taking my first trip on a plane in 4 months after, you know, traveling 50% or more of the time for the last, well, since 1975 when we started expanding as ACORN. But I'm going to Atlanta. And why am I going to Atlanta? Because there's some people who want to start ACORN in Atlanta. So I don't know how to say no, but in Canada, they're just good people. God love you.
John?
Yes, hello. I don't know if this question was asked just because I'm a bit late, but so I'm sorry for that. for that. Wade, you've clearly seen a lot through the, like, basically the rise of neoliberalism through Reagan to like the, not the perfection, but the increase of it through Bill Clinton. And then you probably also went through the 2008 market crisis and saw how like it affected the housing and such a lot. And I guess my question is, because right now we're still during a pandemic, but so in countries like Canada, they're taking some measures, not a full great measures, but some measures. The problem is that some of the dealings is with places like BlackRock. And I guess the question is, in your experience, what should we, now that we're growing in memberships and growing in voices, what should we look out for in the possible chances of a lot of these nations taking sort of austerity measures?
Well, I mean, austerity has been a program for a long time, and you have to worry about the overall economic situation and what it's going to do to tax revenues for many countries. I think there's some hope, if you will, that in the way that people have stepped up in the current, some countries have stepped up in the current sort of pandemic depression, that austerity is still a long way away. Germany's even put money into investing in non-austerity measures. But I have to say, if you looked at India, where we work, and next to Canada, that's our second largest membership area, or Honduras, or Kenya, or Cameroon, or so many other lower income countries where we work, it's not going to be a question of austerity, it's going to be a question of deprivation. These countries don't have the budget. We don't have a United States that has a global view of being able to support countries when they're in crisis. We have, as long as President Trump is in office, we have a mean-spirited, penny-pinching son of a gun who would just as soon the rest of the, those shithole countries just, he doesn't care what happens to him. If he gets down to Mar-a-Lago, he's a happy guy. But so, I mean, I think we haven't, the worst is, we're going to see a lot worse because of all this on the economy, and austerity is going to be something we fight in developed nations. But just, we had this debate, ACORN International was doing a joint statement on the COVID-19 crisis. And of course, rent, adequate income, these are the issues in developing countries, and they're issues in lower income countries. But there we had to have food security. What we're hearing about every call we have with India or Honduras is hunger. We're now serving almost 10,000 meals a day in India alone to members and others, migrant workers. So we haven't seen nothing yet. Good, bad, we're gonna have a struggle, and we're gonna need the kind of leadership that ACORN members show to this, both in your countries and globally, I think. Thanks for the question.
Wade, so a question from the chat. Dan wants to know, what was the biggest accomplishment or victory that ACORN USA ever achieved?
I mean, we probably, well, we definitely moved billions of dollars into investment in low-income communities. More than 9 million people became homeowners, families became homeowners because of agreements that we signed with banks. Our living wage campaign raised the minimum wages in state after state. In 2006 alone, we moved $4 billion into some 10 million people to raise their wages. These are victories that took us 30, 35 years to build up to, but those kinds of things are just past the imagination that most people have of what a mass organization working collectively can achieve. So those are some of my favorites. I could go on and on. But the best is still to come too.
Alejandra, how many more questions?
So probably one more, and Donna, because Donna, I have been seeing her asking questions, and there are a question that I really like it, And as Donna from Toronto, she's asking, wait, why you not running for president of the USA?
Yay! Because I have better sense. I like the job I've got now, frankly.
Okay, Alejandro, one more. Marcia from Weston had a question from the chats that she sent to John, or maybe she can just say it out loud. You just need to unmute yourself, Marcia.
Okay, Wade, one of the things that I've come to understand since, being a member and attending, it's the issues that we're fighting with regard to landlords and maybe some other agencies. My question, I've said this to our members before, do you believe that if we had some form of a legal association with ACORN, we had some kind of a link that we could get at some of these loopholes and fight some of these loopholes that these landlords and these organizations are using against the people that they should be serving? Do you think that that kind of an association would be a good thing for us?
Well, I guess here's how you're going to help me. I thought in many ways that's what ACORN was already doing in Canada.
Well, I'm specific, like I'm talking at maybe the city level in our different communities, our chapters that we do, but there's, with the tenancy board and these landlords having so much leeway, how is it that we can't, as an association, look at some of these legal loopholes that they're using and maybe change it, maybe create change around those kinds of things?
Well, that's what we're trying to do on the landlord licensing program that Canada has led compared to the rest of the world. Many of our other affiliates have tried to pick up that flag from y'all, but we've made great progress in some cities, and we're still in the fight in others. But you're living in Toronto?
Yes, I am.
Because there, clearly, we've got some problems in the Ontario state government, but we've made some progress at the city level. So we need to look at how to take it to the next step.
Correct. And I mean, we doing deputations on Wednesday against this Bill 184, where they're giving landlords carte blanche to evict people. And so, when I hear the stories, I always come back to, okay, there's legal, it seems like there has to be sometimes some legal aspect to what we do in order to get some of the things that we need for the very people, that we're fighting for.
Well, getting the bylaws so that the law changes is sometimes more effective than going to court, and that's what we've tried to do. But this is an ongoing conversation that a lot of our members, and I'm glad you're involved in it, are having about how do we, every time we win, we move the step up higher that we want to get better, and I think you're on that program.
Yes, I am. I truly, it just sets my head crazy every time we go to a meeting and we hear from the tenants, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. There's legal situations here. This is health and safety issues we're talking about. You know what I mean? So immediate action in some cases what people need. And I understand with COVID, but again, we're talking a lot of this stuff was pre-COVID that these landlords weren't doing, that people were paying their rents for. So we'll just have to continue to fight. And I thank you for starting this organization.
Well, keep on
very
pushing.
proud to be a member.
Well, proud to have you.
Great. Thank you so much. I think so we're going to stop for the questions. Thank you to everybody that has participated asking these amazing questions. And thank you, Wade, for your knowledge and good direction. So now Marva has an announcement to say. Probably she's getting married.
Oh, yes. Okay. With ACORN Let me get it for you. Judy.
I can screen share.
Okay, please. We have gotten some buttons for ACORN's 50th anniversaries, and we're gonna have it as a fundraiser for ACORN International. So we'll be selling the buttons. It's right
beautiful,
there.
beautiful.
So that's the 50th anniversary button. This is it right here, and we'll be selling it and raising funds for ACORN. ACORN Canada will be doing it to raise funds for ACORN International.
How do you do that clap thing? I mean, where's that clap thing? I'm gonna.
Like,
yeah. Well, that's wonderful. The last thing on my agenda was to show the new ACORN International website. Do you still need me to do that for a minute?
Yes,
Because,
please, but yes.
I want to put that button on there, Marva, so that we can help push that.
But before that,
before you do that, can I just say something, Alejandro, please?
For sure.
To all of the members online, can you spread it out there that we have the buttons and we'll be selling them? And if you guys want, you could mosey on down to the office 6 social distancing to get some buttons to sell, please. Or better yet, when the organizers come around, if they come around, get the buttons and we can sell. Because I know we're
How
going to
much are the buttons? How much are the buttons?
Julie, how much are the buttons are we selling them for?
$5 to $20, between that range. Huh?
Sliding scale.
Sliding scale. How much the person can afford? Nothing under 5. Simple.
Nice.
I was actually wearing tonight the button that they made, and it's a pin in the UK. It's the smallest ACORN button I have. In the earlier things, I've worn ACORN shirts and whatever, and I thought, well, I don't really have it. I'll wear the ACORN pin and just give a little representation here. But let me also, I love that button, whether you pay $1 or $5 or 10, any support you give to ACORN International. All of you are automatically members of ACORN International, but anybody who wants to go on the website and, pop a little bit more, we're good. Now I'm going to try to show you our new website. Hang with me. Oh, come on now. Let me see. Yeah, somebody sing a song. Let me see.
No, Bob, we don't want Bob. We don't want to see his face.
Okay, why am I keep having trouble getting this done? But luckily I know a way around it, so. No, that's not how. This is part of why I became an organizer, because this was something I could figure out how to do, as opposed to,
Wait, I think I can do it.
Okay, it's just, acorninternational.org, but for some reason I'm having trouble getting there, Judy. There, thank you. Believe it or not, I had them all set up on the thing, but, well, Judy, you want to walk people through?
Yeah, sure. So this is the home page of the website. And then you scroll down and you get some updates from the field, some sort of priority updates that are happening here. And then you go down to this section where it shows all the affiliates, which is cool. So if you put your cursor over it,
well, do Canada. Let people see what's in ACORN Canada.
Canada.
Double click. There you go.
Oh, error.
They may still be building it. Let's go to England or some other place.
England. Is this alphabetical?
Yeah.
Here we go. England. Double clicking. Here's the English youth.
Those are the members. See, they're not, you know, there's 30s, 40s, 50s, but there's 20s as well.
Well, this looks great.
Well, that's one of the major leaders, the woman with her mouth wide open there. Okay, how about France? Let's show some love to our Quebec members.
Okay.
All right, we're back to ACORN Canada.
All
it's
right,
supposed to link to your website, so that may be a problem.
It worked last time we went in.
You know, I was able to do better at this last time too, but.
Is the Alliance?
Alliance Citoyenne is our affiliate in France. They have offices in Lyon, in Aubervilliers outside of Paris, and in Grenoble, which is where the major headquarters are. If you keep scrolling down, they actually report, oh, that is an issue for Muslim women not having to keep going down. You'll see their actual membership. Okay, here's their membership. This is how they've grown. Lyon's the newest, but in Grenoble, they have 1640, and in Aubervilliers, which is one of the lowest income districts in all of France, they have over 500 members now. We have more than 3,000 members in England, almost 2,500 in France now, and this is all in the last couple of years. How about Cameroon? This is one of our newer affiliates in Africa. It's Francophone, but what you're going to find on the website in every case once it's finished is you're going to see some pictures, you're going to see some information about how to contact the office and who the leadership is and who the head organizer is. Okay, that's the picture screen. Okay, now go down, Jude.
Oh, sorry. Oops.
Okay. Oh, well, here's Kenya. Well, you'll see the same thing in Kenya. Oh, no, back to Cameroon.
Keep going down.
Okay. So can you take me to the donate page?
Yeah.
Support, probably. Okay, so for those people who want to support the 50th anniversary, there's a way to do it, or to join. We're a couple of dollars a month or whatever. Or we have a separate fund support the COVID-19 work we're doing in India and elsewhere. So buy your ACORN 50-year anniversary. Show us some love if you can, and we'll make sure there's more organizing. We're trying to start now in the Netherlands and Sicily and in Nigeria. So we'll see what happens, but keep leading the way from Canada, because y'all will make all the difference. People try to, what y'all do, we try to get copied all around the world. So show us the way. And thank you. This was great to spend this time with, I know there was up to 54. I don't know how many are on now. 48. We've lost a couple along the way. More have come in. We'll see. If somebody screenshot it, Judy will know exactly who everybody is.
Yeah, Olivia was on that.
Okay, Olivia, one of our stars. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Back to you,
Thanks to
Alejandra and Marva.
we had the last scene, that is, we want to remember the people from Canada to the ones who went to Ohio, to Chicago conventions, when there were 5,000 people, ACORN people together, people from Canada, you remember, like John Anderson, or maybe Macy, or Antonia, or even Marva, of course.
Nancy. It was amazing. It's like, I think Ohio was our first convention. I think so. And we all packed, got into a bus, and we traveled to Ohio. And we got there. We were shocked because there were so many people. I don't know about Judy and John, probably knew that they were big, ACORN was huge. but us as members had no clue what we're getting ourselves into. And so we got there, and it was so excited, you know, to see so many people coming together and fighting for, you know, the same exact cause. It's like whether you're in LA, New York, wherever, and they were from all, it seems like from the whole of America. And it's like, of course, they give ACORN Canada our little slot because we were the new ones. It's like I still can't explain the feeling that you had. It's like you had to be there to feel it. Because me telling you it's like, and it's the same with Detroit, because you feel the togetherness from everybody. You feel the way everybody, they fight, you know they're fighting, we're fighting for the same cause. And don't talk about the actions. When you leave for the action, all we needed was somebody to say, ready, action. And it was like, it was great to have an organization who stands up for the moderate and lower income peoples around the world throughout society. This is my personal belief. ACORN although we have all of these so-called organizations that does this, claims to be doing what we're doing, I think hands down, ACORN, because it's doing it, not because I'm a member of ACORN, they're doing it the better way, because they're knocking on the doors, they're actually getting the people involved. The members telling us this, and it's the exact thing, because when the convention, before the big dinner, you go around in the communities, you knock on the doors, you find out issues. When we went to Detroit, it was the housing crisis. People were losing their homes to the mortgage schemes and stuff like that, left, right, and center. And it was just this, it was sad, yet excited, because when you walk down like street after street after street, you see so many homes boarded up, and you could see like only 2 homes that's occupied. Although it was sad, it was excited seeing ACORN US in action, because we're just babies, infants. And to see us today, we, getting all that strength and guidance from the US, look how it's paying off today.
That was 2006 in Ohio, and 2008 in
Detroit.
Michigan, so
yes,
time flies. Now y'all are, now you're the teenagers showing everybody else what they need to do. They're taking their baby steps after you. It's a wonderful world. Okay.
Yes.
Can I say something? Can I say something here? We need another national convention like we had last year here. It helped invigorate our members even more if we can all come together as a group from across a nation. It really builds up the spirit. When we had ours last year here in Hamilton, it was huge, and not as huge as yours, but it's huge in numbers, and it really invigorates people to move on with further actions.
Well, next year, right? Another one's coming up next year. There's no pandemic gonna
Maybe
stop
not with this virus.
Hey, it's a full year away. Let's see what happens. You never know. I think I'm more positive than some of y'all. Maybe that's how I've stayed doing this work, I'm always thinking something better might happen if we just keep fighting, but we'll see. Well, this is wonderful. What's next?
The next is, what about Antonia or Macy or John Anderson? You want to talk about it? Or even Judy?
Well, I can't follow. Marva did a great summary of convention. I can't follow that. I think we should end on that note.
Okay, good. So we want to say thank you to everybody, and thank you to Wade and Marva and all the leaders and all the organizers, because Canada ACORN, without one of you is miss, is not the same. You know what I mean? So we need each other. We need the heat. We need the passion. We need the love. We need the ideas. We need the brave. We need everybody of you. So please, and stay together. Thank you. Thank you. It was a great night. Thank you, Wade. Hopefully we see each other very soon. I believe that this virus is going to be away soon too. And we need to reveal and have the responsibility of go to our government and say, you know what, you are not doing right. So this is who we are. And have a beautiful night, everybody, and keep cool because Toronto and Canada is hot right now.
Okay,
Thank you, Wade.
all. Okay.
Way to go, ACORN.
Thanks,